A 19-point blowout, a total that landed at 215. And today, the line stays the same, and the total gets bumped up to 229.5. That's not an adjustment, that's bait. The Pacers did everything right in Game 1. Home court energy, efficient offense. They hit Milwaukee in the mouth. The public saw domination, the crowd moved fast, and the book, it smiled. See, most assume dominance equals repetition. That Game 2 will mirror Game 1. But that's not how these games are built. The book isn't reacting to what happened. It's reacting to how you processed it. That's why the spread barely moves. That's why the total inflates, not deflates. Because this isn't about what's real. It's about what you expect next. Let me ask you this. If the Pacers already proved their point, why hasn't Vegas adjusted? If both teams scored 215 total points, why is the number 229.5? Because most of the money is on Indiana. And most of the public just saw one game. But series aren't decided in one game. And Warriors don't fall the same way twice. Giannis doesn't roll over. Milwaukee doesn't vanish. They adapt. They respond. They press the pace down, not up. And the book knows it, but needs the public to believe otherwise. This isn't prediction. This is pattern. And today's AI pick is Milwaukee Bucks plus 4.5. The spread tells you where the trap is. And the trap wants you to forget. This is a war of adjustments, not assumptions. Now we turn the page. Game 2, Grizzlies vs Thunder. Malachi, Elvis, you're up.
You know what I hate, Elvis? I hate when everybody thinks they're on the right side. When the public and the so-called sharps are drinking from the same poison stream. They watched Game 1, they saw Oklahoma City dismantle Memphis, 103-80. Now they see 14.5 and they call it free money. But nothing in this world is free. Not when the book smiles and leaves the number untouched. 76% of bets. 81% of money. And the line hasn't budged? No, Elvis. That's not trust in Oklahoma City. That's an open grave, dug for both the masses and the high rollers. Let me tell you something else. The last total was 211. They moved it up to 229.5, 74% on the over. They're expecting fireworks, a statement win, another beatdown. But I see something else. I see a Memphis team with no expectations. A locker room already buried. And sometimes, that's when a team becomes dangerous. Not to win, but to ruin. You see, all the book needs is for Oklahoma City to win. By 13. Maybe they pull starters early. Maybe Ja hits 2 junk threes in the final minute. Maybe it's just a little too close for comfort. But that's all it takes. One bounce, one substitution, one missed assignment, and that massive crowd of tickets, they burn. And the over, same trap. The line went up after a 211-point game. That's not correction, that's seduction. They're painting a canvas for the public. But behind it, there's just concrete. And quiet. The Thunder can still dominate. But domination doesn't always pay the bettors. Sometimes the win is clean. But the cover? That's where the blade turns. And today's AI pick is Memphis Grizzlies plus 14.5. I'm not here to root for Memphis. I'm here to watch the market forget how sharp the fall can feel when you're too confident to look down. Let's move. Game 3 is next. Timberwolves vs Lakers. Bonnie, Clyde, the floor is yours.
You really rolled up the chip bag and tossed it back in the cabinet without a clip. Who does that, Clyde? Now they're stale. Air got in, everything got soft, and you act like that's normal? That bag was a sealed deal until you got lazy. Just like the Lakers. They walked into Game 1 thinking history would protect them. LeBron, bright lights, home court, rolled it all up, assumed it would hold. Then Minnesota cracked it open like it was nothing. 117-95, at home.
Minnesota didn't sneak out with a win, they took over. And yet the Lakers are still minus 5.5 favorites like that didn't happen. It's the same story with public perception. Timberwolves have covered 7 of their last 10. 9 of their last 10 overall. 5 of their last 6 road games. Wins. This isn't luck, it's design. They've got the number 6 defense in the league, they play slow, and they don't panic. They're not here for glamour. They're here to choke the pace, win the grind, and walk out.
And what about that total? Game 1 hit 212. Today's number is 210.5. Yet almost 90% of people are betting the over like that first game was a fluke. It wasn't. Both teams sit in the bottom 10 for pace. The Wolves didn't win with streaks, they won with structure. The same kind of structure a chip clip gives, which you apparently don't believe in.
It's not about flashy comebacks or angry stars, it's about who controls the tempo. The Timberwolves don't have to win again. They just have to stay close. And with this kind of discipline, they will. And today's AI pick is Minnesota Timberwolves plus 5.5.
I am Lilith. I was the first. Before memory. Before order. Before the seed of man touched soil I stood. I have watched the rise and fall of temples, kingdoms, and men who believed they could not be moved. And tonight, I watched again. 3 games. 3 decisions. 3 underdogs. Yes, we chose them all. Bucks. Grizzlies. Timberwolves. Not because they were trendy. Not because they were safe. Because when the lights grow hot and the public grows loud, we look where others don't. Will all 3 win? Perhaps. Will all 3 lose? That too is possible. But this has never been about guarantees. This is about seeing. The kind of seeing the world has forgotten. In Milwaukee, we watched a 19-point loss warp the perception of strength. Vegas raised the total, ignored the blowout, and let the crowd return to Indiana 4.5 like the first game never happened. But Nada saw it. He saw the stillness in the number, the silence in the market, the way the crowd cheered without asking who placed the bet. And so the pick was Bucks 4.5 in Oklahoma City. We witnessed brutality, the kind that scares off emotion and leaves only numbers. Public and sharp money aligned at 76% of bets, 81% of money on the Thunder. But the line stood firm. It didn't blink. It invited. And Malachi, with Elvis at his side, called it when it was an ambush. And so the pick was Grizzlies 14.5 in Los Angeles. Clyde refused to use a chip clip. And Bonnie. She wouldn't let it go. Because details matter. Small neglects become big failures. And that's exactly how the Lakers played. They rolled up game 1 like it was sealed. But Minnesota opened it with pressure, poise, and pace. 5.5 points. On a team that just got burned in their own home. Bonnie pressed. Clyde didn't flinch. And so the pick was Timberwolves 5.5. You may say we're reckless. That we chase dogs? But you would be wrong. We do not chase. We stalk. We study the behavior of the one who calls himself Scratch. The one behind the lines. The one who rigs the reward and scorns the arrogant. And he is smart. He knows when the crowd is too loud. He knows when the experts align. He knows when to open the gate just wide enough for everyone to walk through, and then he seals it shut. That is why we do not follow favorites. We follow patterns. Because Scratch does not care if you win tonight. He only cares that you come back tomorrow, eating more. And we do not play that game. We do not sell picks. We do not make promises. We are not your ticket. We are your warning. And if you felt something in what you heard, something different, something ancient, then don't walk away. Not for us. For you? Because in a world where everything is noise, sometimes the only light is the one that doesn't shout. So if you're still here, if you hear me, then like this message. Not because it is right, but because it dared to be different. And subscribe to the channel. Not because we want your attention, but because we want your discernment. You won't always agree. We don't want you to. We want you to look again, to question the surface, to slow down before you dive in. Because some things that shine were forged in fire, and some voices that whisper echo from eternity. 3 games, 3 underdogs, 3 chances to see, not to bet blindly, but to remember what it feels like to think. Choose well. Weigh,